again. We bring you a different one today. So we've been studying the boys in the boat for quite some time, for a couple weeks now on the show. And today we start a new book that has me smiling from ear to ear. It's a book that has me going back to my roots, my country roots in central Pennsylvania. And it's about hunting. And I picked this book for a variety of reasons which I'll talk about here. And regardless of whether you're a hunter or not, or an outdoorsman or outdoorswoman or city slicker, it doesn't matter. Because here's the deal. I didn't just pick this book, and I'll talk about this here in the in the show, but I picked this book for a variety of reasons. And I'll tell you about them. And it's not just about, Steve Rinella being a hunter. It's about all of the aspects of Steve Rinella. Steve Rinella is the author. And it's fascinating. So whether you're a hunter, a not hunter, an outdoors person, a not outdoors person, whether you are a vegetarian, a vegan, or whatever, I think this will, whatever. I think it's going to be a healthy listen. Let's just say that. And Dredd, if you're watching on Facebook Live, Dredd, yes, you are killing it. No pun intended as well. Dredd is making all kinds of puns in the lines. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can catch this live stream at facebook.com/Charlie Spaniard. All right, let's rock and roll. 1, 2, 3. Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Spaniard Show. This is the Spaniard, and this is AMXbooks 639. Starting a new book today. This book is Meat Eater, Adventures from the Life of an American Hunter by Steve Rinella. Now, I picked this book for several reasons, and I'm going to get into those reasons. But I first want to tell you a little bit about the author. And so Steve Rinella is a professional hunter. He's an author. He's a conservationist. He's an outdoorsman. He's a chef. If only an amateur chef, he is a chef indeed. He's a reader, he's a philosopher, he's a thinker, and he's a speaker to me. And what do I mean by that? There's a lot of people out there, a lot of people that are talking now, especially with social media, and there's a lot of people talking about a lot of different things. I'm drawn to Steve Rinella for a variety of reasons. Not just that he's an outdoorsman and I'm getting into the outdoors and it's beautiful scenery and he has a connection to the earth and the food, etc., all this stuff, but he's also a philosopher. He reminds me of the kid in me, to be honest. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but he's super well read. He's a philosopher. He's very spiritual, whether he knows it or not. He's very spiritual. There's a connection. There's an allure to something bigger than him, and the outdoors provides that for him. So this is a book about hunting, right? And I'll reference some quotes and passages here and there that are going to obviously, in the title of the book, Meat Eater, Adventures from the Life of an American Hunter, tell you as well, this is a book about hunting. This is a book about the outdoors. But it's about much more than that. There's a lot of history. Okay, I've become very, very interested and curious about history, anthropology, human civilizations and their evolution, why we do what we do, how we came to be here. Listening to people like Steve Rinella and Joe Rogan and Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these different kind of anthropologists, historians, human psychologists, it really sheds some light on why we're the way we are. And I find that stuff absolutely fascinating. So you're going to get some history of this country, of the world, anthropology, human civilizations, of animals, history of animals, location of animals, different facts about animals in the world, which it's fascinating when you learn these different types, where they came from, why they evolved to either not be able to jump or jump really high, or why their hooves are a certain way, why their paws are a certain way, why snow leopards have really long tails, that it's for balance, why mountain goats have their paws, expand to grasp onto the rocks on these cliffs. It's fascinating stuff. So you're going to get some of that. Anthropology as well, as I mentioned. Cooking, meal prep. In the book, he breaks down at the end of these chapters how to cook and how to prepare these different animals, wild game. And also, it's an autobiography. I'm really, really, really about mission and purpose and passion and finding something and devoting your life to it. Okay, in my life, there's been several different things that my drive and my ambition and my discipline and my hard work have gone towards, that being wrestling, professional fighting, learning a Spanish language, becoming the world's toughest lifelong learner, and teaching everything that I learned. But it all entails this passion and this fire and this drive. And you're going to see that and you're going to hear that in Steve, in his voice. Now, this book is also a special book choice to me for a few other reasons. Newsflash, I worry a lot. I'm afraid of a lot. I'm very afraid and hesitant about offending people. If I have a voice on a podcast and I put it out there, that leaves room to be picked apart by whomever, whenever. Hunting is a relatively controversial topic, especially in today's world, especially with the victimizer mindset, offending people, getting in trouble for saying certain things. But I realized that if I want to become a public figure, if I have these aspirations of influencing and impacting millions of people, I have to get comfortable with people, either one, forming negative judgments about me, two, criticizing the things I say. I'm very afraid or hesitant about getting contrarian comments and contrarian people calling me out on certain things and asking me to explain, because I get nervous and I just want to make everyone happy and I just want to make you happy and me happy and us all be friends. But it's just not that way. You know, I hear people like Joe Rogan talk about all the hate he gets, and I think, wow, he's actually okay with that. It's not fun getting hated on. In professional fighting, reading the comments, reading how bad I suck and I'm terrible and I should quit the sport and I'm embarrassing the sport and my family, it's not fun. It hurts your feelings, no matter what, no matter how. It hurts my feelings, right? And I need to get to a point where I'm okay with that and I can effectively have a conversation about these topics without my blood pressure rising, without boiling, without wanting to fight someone, because that's my natural inclination. So, you know, I worry about that idea of ruffling feathers in receiving these contrarian responses. And I really want to develop the ability to conversate about topics that people might not agree with. And here's the thing. I know what I think. I grew up in central Pennsylvania. I grew up in Hollidaysburg. I grew up in Blair County. I'm from the country. I'm closer to Pittsburgh than I am to Philadelphia. I grew up hunting. My dad grew up hunting. My dad used to butcher deer in my family room in my house. Think of that. Think of my mom coming from, you know, the neighboring kind of decently big city compared to where my dad's from. The idea of butchering deer in our family room downstairs, put out the table, put down the kind of butcher paper and go to town. So I'd walk downstairs and there's nothing but deer. There's skinned deer hanging out in our garage, skinned, ready to be processed, butchered, ready to be processed. That's what I grew up with. I hunted a deer when I was 12. I shot the deer. I didn't kill it right out. I heard it wheezing. It made me very sad and it made me kind of cry, and I didn't go hunting. But as soon as I had kids, and I started to get to this idea of like, wow, I really care where stuff comes from. I started to be more aware of the fact that I do eat meat. I started to be more aware about how meat is processed and animal rights. And I started to become really aware of this stuff, and it starts to settle down and you start to understand what you think, why you feel that certain way. It's certainly controversial. And, you know, people, vegetarians, vegans, they'll disagree with everything Steve Rinella says, the things I'm saying, but I want to get to a point that I'm comfortable talking about topics like this out loud in public, because someday on stage I'll probably have to do so. And it's in this joint thing of reconnecting with the outdoors. In January, I'm going hunting with my buddies. We have a cabin in the woods, no electricity. It's got a 2-seater outhouse. It is a cabin. You know, having kids really made me want to reconnect with nature, with instincts, with discovery, with the wonderful world that exists and from which we come. That's why I've gotten into Native American spirituality, and this book falls in line with that idea. One of my favorite parts of this book is that Rinella, and he has a podcast called the Meat Eater Podcast. He has a series on Netflix that you can watch as well called Meat Eater, but he wrestles with his own morality and ethics, and that's one of the things that I love the most. Is he knows what he thinks, he knows what he feels, but he wrestles with these morality and these ethics, and he questions things that he does. When people bring things to him, he questions it. He knows who he is, but he's open and objective. And he also has heroes. I'm a freaking boy. I'm a 37-year-old boy with heroes. And I love how Rinella talked about his heroes, the mountain men, post Lewis and Clark, up until the fur trade essentially ended in the 1840s, early America, the pioneers, the Native Americans, the Wild West, the adventure, the freedom, all of that stuff is piled into this book. You can check them out on Rogan's podcast, Meat Eater podcast, Meat Eater on Netflix, or you can stay tuned to AMXbooks. I'm going to be covering this book for the next week or two. That's it, my friends. Let's go. I'll see you on the flip side. I like it. I like it. Straight from the heart. It's the best way, right? AMXbooks 639 Meat Eater 1. There we have it, folks. Yeah, I will see you tomorrow for AMXbooks 640 Meat Eater 2. See ya.